Hello and welcome to the channel. I am your host, Travieso Americano. Please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe down below. Do all those algorithmic-y things that make the channel successful. I would appreciate it. So, I made good on my promise in yesterday's video. I did go and see The Woman King, and I'm here to review it for you. Unfortunately, it is 2.5 hours of my life that I will never get back. But in any case, I'm going to give you a cinematic review, and I'm going to give you a woke trash review. So for the cinematic review, I will use the typical 0 to 5 star scale. For the woke trash review, I will use a 0 to 5 Mao Sticker scale. So my first reactions to this film after seeing it, it is long and boring, number one. It is just, it's long and boring. That's just all you can say about it. And the first scene is exciting. The first scene is definitely exciting, but then settle in because you've got 2 hours of talking ahead of you. 2 hours of talking. Oh my gosh. It's like going to an LPGA tour event and not being able to see any of the golf. It is that boring. There are also editing or screenplay problems with the film. The plot points were not all fleshed out. There are pivotal points when you're wondering how they got to that spot in the plot. I didn't mean to rhyme that. And there's a relationship between characters where one character was never really introduced and now plays this big pivotal important part. And then there are scenes that have extra weight or seem to have extra weight despite the film not creating that context first. So the film is certainly not perfect from a cinematic standpoint. The actors are great. I had no problem with the acting. They all hit their marks, did a great job, despite the fact that this is a slow-moving film. And I will have to say, before you see it, before you go and take your kids to see it, let me give you a little bit of a word of warning. First, the PG-13 rating is extremely generous from a violence standpoint and from a sexual violence standpoint. It is extremely, extremely generous. Also, at its heart, understand this movie is a movie about human bondage and sale. I can't say the actual word on YouTube. I can use any curse word in the book I want to use, but I can't use this word in a historical context. Well done, YouTube and social media. Well done with your censorship. But just bear that in mind. I was not expecting that going in. I had not read anything about the movie. I never read anything about movies before I go in and review them. I want to be unbiased. I want to have just the trailer and the previews in mind when I see the movie. So it was extremely jarring. I was expecting an action movie set in pre-industrial Africa, and then I get this human bondage aspect of it. Now, of course, I thought it might touch on those themes. I didn't think it was going to be a defining characteristic of the movie, and it really is. So before you bring any children, I wouldn't bring any children under 13 to it. My opinion, before you do, just understand that is a big, huge part of the movie, a huge characteristic of it, and just understand that when bringing children in. Now, at the end of the day, this movie is not a masterpiece. It's also not horrible. When I was thinking about each scene individually, each scene I would just say it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And that's how I think the movie is. It is fine. Nothing great, nothing truly awful from the cinematic perspective. Because of that, I am going to go ahead and give it, we'll do the big reveal here, 2 stars. It gets 2 stars. It would have gotten the 2.5 and been an average movie, completely average, had the editing or the screenplay not been such a mess. Had those things been tightened up a little bit, it would have gotten 2.5 stars. Now we're going to talk about the Mao stickers. How many Mao stickers did the Woman King get? Well, let me just tell you, it is one of the most woke movies that I have ever watched. That's all it is. It's woke propaganda. It is absolute woke propaganda through and through. It's full of hate. It is absolutely full of hate. Another thing, if you're going to bring your kids here to see it, especially little girls, it is full of hate, and I would think about that before, especially little girls, you bring them to see this movie. In this movie, like I said, they hate everybody. They hate men especially, and I'm going to go into this more in depth in a moment. But they hate men to a degree that I've not seen on film in a long, long time. There was a movie in the 70s, a cult classic called I Spit on Your Grave. This is akin to that. That's how much they hate men. They also hate Europeans. They also hate Europeans and presumably anyone of European descent. And that's, part and parcel to the human bondage and sale aspect of that movie. That's expected. However, it doesn't feel like they are angry at past Europeans. It feels like they are angry at modern day Europeans and those of European descent. And this is extremely problematic in the final battle scene. And I will get to that here in a moment. It is extremely problematic in that final scene. But let's put a pin in that for now. And finally, they hate feminine women. They hate feminine women in this movie. They make a big stink, a huge stink, about making feminine women the bad guys in the film, or some of the bad guys in this movie. You can't be pretty and smart, according to the liberals. You have to choose one or the other. MSNBC has been is striving to prove that out every single day, of course. But to the liberals, you can't be pretty and smart. Of course, conservatives, most of our women are pretty and smart. So I guess that's a problem liberals have to deal with. Now, let's go back to men. This movie perpetuates an unhealthy fear of men, period. I don't think any psychologist that is speaking honestly, or psychiatrist speaking honestly, would say that this movie does not perpetuate an unhealthy state of mind. Unless there has been some sort of traumatic event in a woman's life, this hatred of men just is not well. It's not a mentally well state of being. And it's not socially successful anyway. It's not a socially successful trait to nourish. In real life, these types of women are lonely. They are mentally unwell, and they are unable to form the types of societal connections needed to lead a normal life, a normal adult life. It's just true. This is how much they hate men in this movie. So be careful if you're bringing your daughters to this, because they're going to see something that I really think is an unhealthy point of view. It is something that should be avoided altogether. However, Hollywood is telling you to strive toward it. And finally, the big battle scene. This is hard for me to talk about because of the censorship. So let me put it to you this way. Hollywood loves to race swap, right? I did that last video on the Little Mermaid and their race swap that Disney did there. They love to race swap. During this end battle scene, if they had race swapped it, it would not have been allowed in theaters. It would not have been allowed on streaming platforms. In all likelihood, there would be congressional hearings regarding this battle scene. It is that ultra-violent. It is that glorifying of racial violence. And really, it is just sick in terms of the violence it portrays. Had the roles been reversed, had the races been swapped, like I said, it is so bad there likely would have been congressional hearings. And because of that, because of all those reasons, this movie is going to get 1, 2, 3, not even 4. Nope, it's getting the full 5 Mao stickers. You can't have this much racial violence portrayed on film without it getting 5 Mao stickers. So be very careful about bringing your children to see this. Be very, very careful. This movie is nothing more than a tribute to victimhood and a tribute to fear. And when you live in the past, you tend to stay there. Thanks for watching the channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below, and we'll see you during the next video. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.